Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to edit videos in FilmoraPro and how you can start getting more views today. But before I get started, I recently found out that only about 10% of the people are subscribed to our channel that view our videos. So give that subscribe button a smash, give it a big smash. And that way you can help our channel grow and stay up to date on all the things that we do. So like I said before, today I'm going to be talking about how to edit in videos in FilmoraPro and how you can start getting more views today. So the first question is always, why edit videos? So the good thing these days with all the smartphones that we have, with all the different cameras that you have, it's very easy to get videos. And then you want to share these videos with other people, be it on social media, be it through YouTube, or be it through any means that you have. But then the challenge that we have, there's only 24 hours in the day, and there's a lot of content that is coming out these days. So one way to really stand out and to really aim for the high points in your videos is to edit the videos so that you make them shorter, so that you make them, but it's very hard to get the perfect video. Like myself, I try to use lights that I have in the description below. So these lights, they help make me more visible. They make the video look more beautiful, but there's only so much that these lights can do. That's where the software comes into play. So there's many different versions of software that you use. Some are free, some are paid for. So the one that I'm going to be using in this video is called FilmoraPro. So as you can see on my screen here, once you open the FilmoraPro, the next thing would be you can open a new project, but for today I'll be creating a new project. So once I have my new project started, so the next thing, like you said, you have recorded your videos with your cameras through the different means that you have. So the first step is always to upload your videos. So I'll go to the import media here and I'll upload all the videos that I need for this tutorial. So I'd already preloaded this before, so I have pictures, I have audio files, I have the whole works here, so I'll just bring it in here. So I'll start wait to load. A lot of video editing softwares is a similar setup. So you have your area where you can see what you're editing, and I always find it's good to have a preview. Both with the preview you can see what you're planning to edit, and then to also add that you have an area where you can see the settings that you want to change. And then all video editing software, like any music editing software, everything is in layers. So what happens is, what is at the top of your layer is what you see at the end of the day. That's what your viewers see. So you can have as many layers as possible as you want, and the thing that is at the top of the layer, that's what people see. So in this, I'll start with the video part. I'll cut and trim the videos, we'll get into the audio, and we'll quickly show you all the different options that we have. So the first thing that you have to decide, once you have your files opened, you want to decide the size for the file that you're going to use. So in case in this Filmora you come to this section, so duration, you can pick whatever you want. But when it comes to size, so what I like about Filmora, it gives you many different options. So you have sizes that you typically see for Instagram, and then so it all comes down to how your camera is recording your videos. So in this case, I'm just going to start with this 780p. So once you start getting to 1080, what they're mainly referring to here, that's the height for your file. So I'll just do 720 is a smaller height, and it just gets bigger until you get to more the 4K. So the 4K, if you have a fancy camera that can record in 4K, it means you get a bit better resolutions, you get more pixels. But for today, we're going to start with 720 here. So I'll make my file to be a 720. So we've created our file. So the next part now, so like I said in the preview, you can see these are the videos that I had recorded before. So one of my favorite features in Filmora that I really like a lot, it allows you to record audio and video separately. But like, let's say I'm recording outside. So as you can see in this one, I was recording outside in this one, and you can hear there's a lot of echo in the background. So to help solve that, what I would have done in this case, I would have used my Wire B1 microphone. So I have a link in the description. So this microphone works very well for doing indoors and doing outside. But what I essentially did with this microphone, I would have it close to me as I am recording, and then the video camera, like what I'm doing right now, it's also recording on the side, and then I combine and merge the two files separately. So that's our first step. So the way I had named the files here, so I had 3 files that I had done, and we had 3 audio files too. So that's our first step for this tutorial. We'll combine our audio from the microphone and the video from the recording. That way we have a crisp sound. So in this case I'll click both files using Control, and then so once I do that, once I right click, it gives you the option to merge your audio and video. So we'll let it do its work in the background. So this is a very important step. So after we've selected our size, the next step is just to make sure that our files are sized correctly. So I'll repeat the process for the other 2 files. So we did the first one, and then I'll do the second one again. So the process is the same. So I click the 2 files and I merge my audio and video. So this is one of the best parts of Filmora. It allows you to combine 2 different files from 2 different sources. So I'll do it for the third one. So once I do the same thing again, I merge audio and video. So this one is longer file, so it's going to take a bit more time, but once it works, it's magic. So it means now I have a high quality recording from my camera, and I have a good recording for the audio without any visible background. So once we have those 3 merged files, it means we can delete all the files that were not merged, that we no longer need. So I'll just select them separately, because depending on the power of your computer, if your files they get big, sometimes it starts slowing down your machine. So I'll just make sure that I delete all the clips that we had from before that we no longer need. So I think I should have all of them. So 3 audio files, and I have the 3 video files. So we just remove those files from our file. So now that we've gone through the first part of making sure that our audio files and our video files are correct, one thing that I like to do is just to make a folder. That way it's easier to work through the files. So you can make as many folders as you want, and then you can name them as many different files that you want. So in this case, I put everything under raw recordings. So once you have everything set there, the next step is to start editing our videos. So since this is for demonstration, I'm just going to bring 3 different parts. So there's different ways that you can adjust your files. So you can do it up here. So once you start playing it from the trimmer, from the preview, you can set where you want your file to start. And then you can also set where you want the file to end. So in this case, I've created this small short clip using with the trimmer, and then I would bring it in here. So you can ignore this since you set the size for your file from before. So the same process, instead of doing it, you can do it a different way. So you can actually drag the whole file. Just drag the whole file, and then go to where you want to start. So I'll just pick a random place. So if you do C, that's the keyboard shortcut for cut in Filmora. So you just pick another place after that. So in this case, I'll go to a different section, and then I'll do another cut there. So that takes care of that part. So I'll bring the file closer to the last one. So I always try to start from the start. So I'll bring them as close to the start as possible. So now that I have my 2 files at the start, and then we'll pick another section from the 3rd file. So this one we can use the trimmer similar to what we did the first time. So we just drag that piece of file in there. So I'll just make it a lot shorter for us, That way it doesn't take as much time for us to export. But this part you can make it as long or as short as you want. So now that we have our 3 sections of files, so like I said before, part of the reason why you edit videos is it's very hard to record the perfect video the first time. So this is where we start harnessing some of the power for the software. So we'll start with the first section. So in here it gives you many different options that you can play around with. So we'll just start with the color correction. So in this case we'll do an auto color. So for the first one, for a start, I'll set it to about 75. And then within the same section, we'll adjust the contrast. So if I adjust the contrast, if I set it to auto contrast, this one I can adjust it again to maybe, I'll put it to 75%, similar to the last one. But what I'll do this time, I'll make it blend with the original file. So sometimes the effects, they come out looking too much and you still want it to be close to what you did. You want to make it better, but you don't want it to be too different. So then another one that you can adjust. So this one I did it outdoors. Sometimes you do indoors. And the brightness is one key feature to adjust. So I'll just finish off by maybe adjusting the exposure. And you see how when I set the exposure, so this one is not too different. So now that we have this part done, rather than repeating the whole process, FilmoraPro gives us the chance to do copy and paste. And with a lot of video editing software, you still get the option to do copy and paste. So in this case, if I do right click, it gives you many options that you can use. So in this case, I'll do copy, and then you can even click many segments. So I'll do paste properties here. So that part we've done. So this is our first pass. We have the correct videos that we want. We've cut them to different sections. So like I said, one of the reasons you video edit, but sometimes you record footage that is very long. But as you know, there's only 24 hours in a day and people are tied up doing a lot of things. So just people also get a lot of notifications on their phones. So the smaller we can make it, just makes it easier for everyone. So now that in this video I was talking about dancing with a part of what I was trying to do, but since you're trying to gain more engagement, sometimes you want to show people. So you're talking about what you're doing and you're trying to show what people have done in the past. So Filmora is a really powerful feature that I like, where it lets you add as many new layers as you want. And then within these layers you can overlay objects on top. So whatever is at the top, that's what the viewer is seeing. So in this case, you can do this with video, you can do this with pictures. So in this case, I'll start by bringing a new picture here. So if I come to this section, so you see how the picture is the one that is at the top. But one thing that we just want to slightly adjust with our picture. So one thing that we want to adjust with our picture. So you see how our picture came in, but our picture was magnified and it's covering the entire section. So even within our transform sections, you can actually adjust the scale. So you see how when it's 100, it's too big. So let's say I was to adjust this to 20%, it's now too small. But you want it to be big to cover everything. So in this case, I'll set this to about, you can just play around with this, depends. So in this case, I'll set it to 40% is at the center. So then to add to this now, so now we have me talking in the background. We have like an organization that sponsors me, and we want to even make this even more exciting. So I'll bring in different clips now. So you see how I bring in, let's say this clip here. So I'll pick a section where I start talking. So we'll do the same thing that we did before. So the cut. So we cut just slightly afterwards. Okay, so I'll do another way. So another way you can do the cut. So you see after you drag in the files that you want. Okay, so I'll just do like a little cut here. So what you can then do now, so you can actually drag it from the edge. So if you select, you see how you have a green icon there. So you bring that as close as possible to your start. And then to add to that, you see how now we have many audio files, but we still want our narrative to say to our main audio file. So if I right click in this case, it gives me the option to unlink. So I've unlinked the audio in the video. In this case, I can actually delete the audio that I just delete. Just make sure you don't have them. So you can undo too. So just make sure you don't have all the both files that you want to delete. So I'll delete one section. So we can still use the same copy and paste to adjust our properties that we had from before. So if I do my copy here and then I select to here, we can do paste attributes. So because this one was a bit done outdoors, it was only a darker day, so you still have the option to adjust the exposure there. So rather than adding it, you can add a new one or you can adjust what you had before. So I'll set it to double the exposure that we had before. So you see how it's getting brighter there. So now that we have our original file where I was talking in the background, we have our logo from Artsenal, and we have this overlay that we want to add to the top. So one of my favorite features that we have in Filmora is this masking tool. So what we're trying to do, we're just trying to show the Artsenal logo at the center, and then we want to mask so that we show me talking. So this is going to show what I did in the past. It's going to show me talking about what I'm trying to do, and it's going to show our sponsors. So one thing you can actually do is to adjust the location for your files. So if you come within your transform sections, it gives you your coordinates for your files, like your anchor, your position. Either one works, but in this case I'll go with the position. So you see how once I set this to -100, it shifts the file further to the left. So I'll set it to about -400. So you see how it's a lot closer to the edge. So what we'll do with the mask tool in this case, when I select the single mask, I'll use a simple one, a rectangular one. So you see after I do the rectangular mask, it only takes out a section of me. So within here it gives you many other things that you can adjust to. So you can even adjust the opacity. So let's say if we were to set the opacity to about 75 in this case. So if I was to adjust the opacity to 75%, so this is only just for my mask. Or you can even leave it at 100. Either way works. So for properties, like we said, you can copy and paste before. And then you can adjust the shape itself. So this is just within the mask itself. So you see how it's a bit rough at the edges. So rather than leaving it rough like that, you can adjust your feather strength. So you can use any number that you want here. Or you can even also adjust it here. Maybe put this to like 50. So that way you're seeing a bit of the properties from the background. And if you want to adjust the opacity, you can still adjust it a little bit. So let's say if I was to set it at 75 here. So this way now you have me talking in the background, you're seeing the Arsenal, and then you see me there. So the same process you can do it with another picture. So if I repeat what we did before, so if I insert a new track and I bring in another video, so this one, so you can either trim this one with the preview or you can drag it in. So you see this one's a longer video. So we'll do the same process. We unlink the audio that we don't need. And then from there we can pick a section that I want. So I'll pick a section where I'm demonstrating a little bit of dancing there. So you see how if I cut that section, I remove a part that I don't want, and then we drag it to be on one side. And then we can do the same thing like what we did the last time. So we try to bring it as close as possible on the other side. So with this one, the same thing, we'll try to push it with our effects. we'll try to push it slightly so that it's to the face the right section of the screen. So rather than doing a negative this time, I'll do a positive. So you see, if I set 200, let's say if I was to set it 2 plus 300, okay, I'll maybe do, let's see, 400. So if I do 400, it's as close to the edge as possible. So rather than repeating the whole process we did before, it can actually gives you the power to even copy with the full mask itself. So anytime you do anything that you didn't intend to do, you can always undo. So you see how after I copy this whole thing, when I come to the other one, when it says paste attributes, so you see how it always gives you the option to select what is it that you want to paste. So in this case, if we paste the position, it messes around with the position that we had before. So we'll paste everything, but we won't post the position. So you see, after we paste everything here, so one thing that you now want to just double check whether the mask is in the correct place. So you see how it's like this. If you were to change this one to this one, that lets you move it. So you just adjust your mask to be slightly to the edge as possible. So that part is done. So everything that we had from before. So you see how we have now our clips that we want, we have our masks on top, and then we have our clips after that. So another big part that the reason why you edit is the transitions. So you would want your transitions to be very sharp. You want them to be nice and smooth. So if you come to the effects, there's many layers to this. I'll do many more videos, but today we just focus on the transitions. So you have your transitions for your audio and you have your transitions for your video. So part of the reason why we add our transition for our videos is we have different clips there. So we're going to need to smoothen them out a little bit there. So I'll start with the ones for audio. So you have two options. Either you can crossfade or you can fade. So if you crossfade, it smoothens the fades between the two different clips. That way it doesn't sound very rough. So even once you start adjusting, you can even zoom in if you want a little bit so that it's a bit easier to follow. So we just start with the audio section. So if I do a crossfade then, and then I do another crossfade, but for the one at the end, because we know that's the end, we just do a regular fade there. We won't do anything fancy. And then when it comes to transitioning your videos, so you have to think about the user. You want to make the experience as smooth as possible for them. So it's usually best to keep it simple there. So myself, I usually use only two things. I use in the dissolve here, where I cross dissolve, or I use the fade to color. So in this case, suppose it's me talking for the same thing, I'll make it simple and I'll use a fade then. And then I'll use another fade. So fade just makes a dark screen. That way you give your users a little bit of a break there. And then for the end, to add a bit of drama, we'll do a cross dissolve. And then when it comes to the overlays themselves, in this case I'll do a cross dissolve. That way you have a bit of drama at the start. We'll do another cross dissolve. And then at the end, we'll do another cross dissolve. That way you get a bit of a preview before you finish off. So with the few things that we have done so far, you're pretty much set with the process, getting an idea of what you need to do from start to finish to edit your videos. So I'll do one more thing and then we'll be ready to export our videos. So for now, we've been using the audio files from the videos that you record, but sometimes you might want to add a background file. That can be your background music. So in the files that I had imported, I had initially added a song there. So what we'll do, we're going to add this song to be like a background layer. That way you can give your audience a different experience. So like similar to what you do before, you still cut to the limits that you want it to be. So if we delete that section then, so we make it to line up with our files. And then same thing with the transitions. You can still add a transition at the end. That way you have like a soft ending for your viewers. And then one thing that happens now, so you see how when I play it a little bit.
Your host, Mr. T, and today we're going to be talking about musicality in bachata. Yes, now.
So for this one, it's not.
Teaching to people.
So for this one, it's not too bad. But once you get to your audio here, so you see how you have your media. So this is your media where you kept your files. You have your section for your effects. So we'll get into many more layers with this next video. This one's just to get you started. And then with the audio mixer. So essentially we have your audio channels here. So you see how you have channel 1, which is your main one with the audio from the videos. And then we have channel 2. So channel 2 itself is controlling the audio. So you see how when I start playing here,
levels, different events, in small groups,
you have different levels
there.
Yeah.
Some people have been teaching them private classes too.
So the different levels, you'd use them to control the level of the noise. That way you want people to have like a background noise, so that way when there is nothing going on, it's not too dead. And sometimes the music affects people psychologically in many different ways. So it just gets people excited and it just gains more engagement with your video. So in this case, I'll just make the background slightly quieter. That way it's not competing with. So at the end of the day, your content is king. Just trying to, in this case I was just trying to talk about dancing, and I was showing the things that I've done in the past, the organization that has sponsored me, and some background noise just to make it more exciting.
I'm your host, Mr. T, and today we're going to be talking about musicality in bachata. Yes, now teaching to.
So I'll do more videos in future to explore more this, but the last step now. So I see a lot of people make this mistake sometimes. So you've invested a lot of time in editing a video, trying to make it look nice. So the next thing, you're trying to export it. So ideally you want to find the size for the medium that you want to share it to afterwards. Because what happens is some essentially beat Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. For them, they want their systems to be very fast. So usually they would optimize their systems for certain sizes. So like for example, like Facebook itself. So for example, if I come to the default presetting, so Filmora, they've already done this part for us. So they have sizes for YouTube there. So they have a size for a bigger file for YouTube, which would be 4K, a 1080. So this is what you commonly see. And then you also have sizes for Facebook here. So in Filmora you can do this more than once. So I'll start with the size for Facebook. And then in the export, it gives you the option to either select a start and end point. In this case, I'll just do contents. So by doing this, it's already exporting our first file. So rather than waiting for the first file to finish, you can actually start exporting another one. So we just come back to the same process, but what we will do this time, rather than leaving the default state to be the one for Facebook, we'll do a 1080 size for YouTube. So this one is optimized for YouTube. So if I select that one and I do the same process of doing export the content, so it starts exporting for us again. So this exporting takes a bit of time depending on the size for your machine. So in this case we already set to about 21%. So in this case it will be done in about 2 minutes. So this part you can do something else and just leave it to export in the background. But essentially the steps that I've gone through, these are the basics that you need to get your videos started for video editing. So I'll just do a quick recap before I let you go. So what we did today, so for the first part, you want to organize your videos that you record so that they're optimized. So you can record the video and the audio together, or you can record the audio separately. So after that, once you import and choose the size for the file that you want to use for editing, this way you make your folders, and with your folders you have the option to organize as many as you want, and you have the option to combine your audio and your video from your different sources. And then once you're done that part, so like I said, part of the reasons why people edit videos is to try to make them shorter, to try to focus on the high points, or just to find a creative way to present your content in a different way. So that's why you do your cut and your trims. You try to make sure that you're looking for the high points that you want. And there's no formula to this. Some videos can be successful if they're short. Some videos can be successful if they're long. So after you're done with the cutting and the trimming, the next big part there is it's very hard to get the perfect picture all the time. So in this case, we start using our software to make it look a little bit more beautiful. So we'd edit our files so that they're just a little bit more appealing. So we'll do bit exposure, bit color grading, anything that you can think of. I always encourage people just to get in there and play around and see. The sky is always the limit. And then after you're done that, in this case we did a bit of masking so that you can see how you can start bringing different elements. That way there's a creative feel to your videos. And then after that you have your options for your transitions, fixing your audio, and the list goes on. I can go on for days talking about video editing, but just before you go, I have a few links in the description for the cameras that I use, the microphone that I use, and even the software Filmora too. It's a very nice software. I've been using it for a few years now. So before you let you go, we just see the finished product here. So Filmora always sets up a folder on your desktop. So within this folder, that's where it exports the files. So I'll just open the one that just exported for us today. So if I make it a little bit bigger, yeah. So it's this one here. I'll start editing with Filmora. So I'll just play it before I let you guys go.
This show. I'm your host, Mr. T, and today we're going to be talking about musicality in bachata. It's now teaching to people of different levels.
So you see how you get your transitions.
Groups, sometimes in big groups. In some people
I'm talking in the background, and you can see the different elements at the starter.
And I know people have many options. A little routine that I've prepared for you. So we start with our first basic. So this is usually the basic one.
So this one is just a little teaser to show what can be done with video editing. So just give that subscribe button a smash and you stay up to date on all the future videos that I'll do where we start adding more complicated stuff to this. So till next time, and